Thank you for joining us again this afternoon. We had a very successful weekend in the city at our bars and restaurants, and the numbers continue to reflect that. The COVID-19 deaths, which, as you remember, at one point approached 300 a week, have now been under 10, and last week was 3. We are seeing the same thing out of the hospitals. The number of new infections on a daily basis, we get a report every day, is staying very low. And a week ago when I sat here, I had my doubts about what was happening. I think the Harper's case in East Lansing is now well over 100, including a city employee who turned up COVID positive in a city office building. When we did the contact tracing, that employee was at Harper's in East Lansing. It gives you a sense of how widespread one outbreak can be, and why they've had problems in Florida and Texas and the like, where they did not act decisively enough. There is no doubt, if you look at the statistics, the city of Detroit is in stage 5, ready for the next round of reopening. We need to stay there. The governor, of course, can't make a decision on the city by itself as if we're an island. She has to make a decision on the region. Hopefully the region will be declared in stage 5 in the near future. But it won't take very many nightclubs, bars, restaurants to act irresponsibly to send us back the other direction. If you look at what's happening in Texas, you look at what's happening in Florida, you look at what's happening in Arizona, they're having to shut these businesses down because they haven't done what we've done here. A week ago at this time, we had 10 bars and nightclubs that we were considering shutting down. Today we're down to 1 or 2 that are in danger of having their license pulled before this weekend, but I'm hopeful that in the conversations that are going on with our health department, the police department, and Adrienne Chanone over the next day or two, we're going to reach an understanding. But I have to say the great majority of bar and restaurant owners, and we were all across this city over the weekend with the health department and DPD, were positive. They were glad to be hearing clarifying messages. In some cases, we gave them PPE. In some cases, they had employees they wanted tested. We got them straight in for the Abbott 15-minute test. But by and large, it's been great. We are going to be very vigilant this holiday weekend, and we'll do what we need to do. But I continue to be just so extremely proud of the city of Detroit's record in handling this virus. We're also requiring us to adjust in a number of other ways. And, you know, it's probably another 7 or 8 months before we're back to what we think of as normal. But what it does mean is we're going to have to continue to find ways to adapt. And one of the great traditions in this city every September has been the Jazz Fest. And this year, our arts and culture director, Rochelle Riley, is becoming familiar to everybody now with all of her activities, is joined with the artistic director of the Jazz Fest, Chris Collins, and the head of the Quicken Loans Community Fund, Jasmine DeForest, and they have an announcement on how the Jazz Fest is going to be conducted this September in the city of Detroit. With that, I'll turn it over to Rochelle.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I am very proud to turn it right over to Chris Collins, who is the president and artistic director of the Jazz Festival and has worked very hard to make sure not only are we the only major jazz festival that is going to continue this year, but also we're going to shine a spotlight on local artists. So, Chris?
Thank you, thank you. And first, my thanks to Mayor Duggan and the support of our city, and additional thanks to someone who's continued to be a champion for all Detroit artists, Rochelle Riley. Thank you. The Detroit Jazz Festival Foundation is taking health and safety and the use of technology to a new level of excellence this year. Our new theme for this year's festival is Safe, Live, Free for Everyone. And I'm pleased to announce Rocket Mortgage as the festival's 2020 presenting sponsor, and an exciting new partnership with the City of Detroit that you'll hear about later. Working with the city, state, and federal authorities and following their preventative and precautionary guidelines, we've developed several possible contingency plans over the past months to create a COVID-safe environment for everyone at the festival. After much consideration and patient attention to the evolution of the data, it was decided to create an advanced virtual performance environment that emulates the live stage experience and keeps the festival free. Firstly, no audiences on site. All performances will be streamed or broadcast live from 3 indoor sound stages we will build at the Detroit Marriott at the Renaissance Center and close to the public. The programming includes our traditional opening night, followed by 8 to 10 hours per day of live, real-time, continuous jazz performances and programming. The festival will be free to the public through our internet channels and on Channel 22, the city's new arts and entertainment channel. Live performances will also be carried on Detroit Public Television, WRCJ 90.9 FM and WDET 101.9 FM, amongst others. And as always, on Detroit Jazz Fest Live app. The Detroit Jazz Festival has developed extensive health and safety protocols to ensure the artist's health is protected and isolation maintained on and off the stage. The 2020 Detroit Jazz Festival, presented by Rocket Mortgage today, will primarily showcase Detroit's world-class jazz artists to the world. An exciting new virtual lineup will be announced soon. In fact, we've launched a special extended artist submission for Detroit area jazz artists through July 15th. Artists, please share your vision at DetroitJazzFest.org. It made sense to postpone performances from our out-of-town artists due to the surge in COVID-19 cases across the country, the risks associated with travel, and the fact that many of these artists were in the high-risk category. These are vessels of the jazz legacy and visionaries of the future. They must be protected. Although some of the legendary artists from our original lineup will not be performing at this year's festival, I have a hunch you'll be seeing them in some form during the 4-day programming. It's important to note the Detroit Jazz Festival, presented by Rocket Mortgage, is the only major jazz festival happening this year due to the pandemic. The sheer financial strain put on artists, agents, crew, and indeed the entire musical industry is epic. Creating this safe version of the 2020 festival will help to minimize some of that strain. Like no other, the festival is poised to continue safely this year due to our tradition as a free festival, generous support from our sponsors like Rocket Mortgage, private donors, and of course our angel of jazz, Miss Gretchen Valade. Also the global recognition and rich legacy of Detroit jazz artists, and our investment in year-round high-definition streaming technologies through our Detroit Jazz Fest Live app. We're thankful for this opportunity to continue our 41-year tradition of bringing real live jazz to our audiences for free during what is considered one of the most challenging times in our lifetime. And we hope this year's festival and the music it produces provides inspiration for better days ahead.
Thank you, Jasmine.
All right, thank you, Rochelle, Chris, and the mayor. Rocket Mortgage is thrilled to return as the presenting sponsor of the Detroit Jazz Festival. As the director of community sponsorships, I am so excited to be a part of an event that celebrates and creates a sense of community. I want to commend Chris, as well as the Detroit Jazz Festival Foundation team, for their innovation, ingenuity, and creativity in finding a safe way to keep the 41-year tradition of bringing real, live, and free jazz festival to Detroit during one of the most challenging times of our lives. The Detroit Jazz Festival, presented by Rocket Mortgage, will be paving the way and reaching jazz lovers on a worldwide scale through this virtual format. Whether you're here in Detroit, watching at home, or anywhere else in the world, be sure to share this free event with your friends and family. Once again, we are pleased to highlight the festival and Detroit as a whole through music, art, and celebration.
Thank you, Jasmine. And I'm very excited to announce that for the first time ever, the Detroit Jazz Festival Foundation will partner with the city to create its iconic Jazz Festival poster. The Office of Arts, Culture, and Entrepreneurship, Detroit ACE, my office, is going to issue an open call tomorrow to identify an outstanding Detroit artist to create the 2020 Detroit Jazz Festival presented by Rocket Mortgage poster. The selected artist will receive a commission fee, receive media and public recognition at the 2020 festival, and join the diverse collection of global artists who have created 40 years of posters. The 2020 poster is going to be very, very special, and I'm sure that everyone around the world will want one because it's intended to capture the spirit of this year's festival, the art of jazz, the Detroit vibe, and the defining events and realities of this year, potentially including the need due to public health and safety to stream and broadcast the festival, and to also pay heed to the global pandemic, the quest for justice, equality, and freedom, and all other issues brought to the fore by the Black Lives Matter movement. The best news, thanks to Chris and the foundation, is that all proceeds from the sales of this year's poster will go to the Detroit Arts Fund, which Detroit ACE established to support arts and culture across the city. We are very thrilled by this partnership, and we look forward to everyone tuning in September. Thank you.
Well, thank you to Rochelle and Chris and Jasmine for what you're doing and keeping the tradition going in a unique way. I want to now talk to the residents of the city about city services. We have a number of departments that are coming back online, and I'll show you what you can expect. We continue to see infection rates of city employees who are on the job at running lower than infection rates for people who are staying home. And we are absolutely committed to creating a workplace where you're safer at work than those who are not working. And so we have been careful to open city departments when the offices are appropriately distanced, appropriate plastic separations and protocols. And so you are going to have 4 more city offices reopen on Monday. 140 more city employees will be returning to work. But we want to continue to maximize the safety of our employees and the safety of the public. And so we have dramatically expanded your ability to get a lot of these services online. And so we're going to give you a choice in each of these departments between online services, or if you're dealing with paperwork, you want to sit down with a city employee, you'll be able to make an appointment. They'll be at City Hall. You'll be able to come in and see them. And when you make the appointment, you will come in off the east side of the building, off of Randolph, where somebody will check your temperature before they let you in the door. We'll give you those details. Whichever of these departments, you can go online at DetroitMI.gov, see what you can do online, see what you need to do to get an appointment. So the 4 departments that will be open on Monday are BC department, if you need business licenses, permits, dangerous building deferrals, property maintenance questions, construction inspection inquiries. We now have our inspectors who are writing code violations in the neighborhood back on the job. I've heard lots of complaints from people in neighborhoods about this property isn't being maintained. Where's the inspector? Those inspectors are back. That also means the people who need to interact with the inspectors to work things out need to be there. So that department will be operational, and we made enormous progress with online services. Most of these things you'll find you can do online unless you want to come in. The Department of Appeals and Hearings will also be open starting Monday, and I think people in the city understand how that process works. The Department of Public Works, if you need a right-of-way permit, you need to get a map or a record, you need to get a plan review, or if we've got commercial collection account services relative to your trash removal, all of those offices will be open again. You can do it by phone or online, or if you want to come in again, the staff will be in the office starting Monday. And then finally, a major improvement that we are going to talk about in a little bit of detail here today, that Ebony Whitlow, the manager of the Taxpayer Service Center, has been running. But we will have all of the taxpayer programs up and running starting Monday, whether it's your property tax issues, income tax issues, needing clearances, transfer affidavits, principal residence exemption, anything that you need, they will be up and operational by phone, online, or in person by appointment starting Monday. Here's the change that Ebony and the team have made, and I'm going to let her talk about that, is when we talk about risk of COVID transmission, our employees handling cash is an area where they are not safe. The money changes hands, the germs can be spread, and so the team has created a method where the City of Detroit employees will no longer handle cash, but you'll have a number of ways to pay, including using cash. And with that, I'll turn it over to the manager and the brains of this operation, Ebony Whitlow.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So in order to keep both the public and our employees safe, we no longer will handle cash as the mayor outlined. meaning person to person. However, we're still accepting all payments. We are focused on customer service, and we are excited that we have installed kiosks at the City Hall to accept cash payments by check and credit card too. Our customer service team will be there to assist you if you need assistance on the kiosk. However, you don't have to come down to City Hall to pay. We have kiosks all over the Metro Detroit area. Nearly every city service can be paid online or through our DivDat kiosk machines. Visit www.detroitmi.gov and click on Pay for information on ways to pay. Find a kiosk near you at www.codkiosk.com. There are some exceptions to the kiosk, meaning that sometimes the way we have it set up, two options are not there for you to pay. One of them are for our EMS paid by medical insurance. Our third party handles that. The other is for impounded cars. They have a unique process, so please see the website for further information regarding that. But nearly every other city department payments can be made through our kiosks. In addition to that, I want to leave you with a couple things to know about our kiosks that we are truly excited about. When you are making a payment, it will be applied timely. In addition to that, you will receive a receipt for your transaction. Keep in mind, summer taxes have been mailed, so you do not need to make a payment. You do not need to make have a bill with you to pay. What you need to do is go to a kiosk. If you enter your address, you can the kiosk will look up the information for you, so you do not need a bill. You can look it up by your address or parcel. If you have any questions, our customer service team is ready to assist you. Please give us a call at 313-224-3560 or email us at thedtsca@detroitmichigan.gov for more information. We're here to serve you, so please feel free to contact us regarding any issues you may be having. Thank you.
So the Office of the Chief Financial Officer has done a great job of building out a center on the first floor of City Hall so that everything can be answered in one place if you do need to make an appointment and go in. But we have to keep our employees safe. At the same time, we know that there are a number of our residents who only like to deal in cash. And so to accommodate that preference, you can go to your local drugstore where the DivDat machines are. You can come down to City Hall and use the kiosk. You can still pay in cash. You just won't be giving it to the city employees. So we think this is a nice balance of convenience for the public, but also protecting our workers who are doing such a great job. There is great concern to me when I look at the unemployment rates. More than 50,000 Detroiters have become unemployed in the last 8 or 10 weeks. And some of the effect of that is being blunted by the unemployment checks, the supplemental checks will run out at the end of July. And so Nicole Sherrod-Freeman and her team are doing an excellent job of laying in place the jobs of the future that are being filled now so that we can get people back to work as quickly as possible. But there is another choice. We look at these jobs at FCA, for example, that start out at upwards of $35,000 and within a few years pay $60,000 a year. But the first qualification is you have to have a high school degree or a GED degree. And that's true of nearly every job that we are filling. And so Nicole Sherrod-Freeman got together with Dr. Vitti and the Detroit Public Schools, and we have today with us Assistant Superintendent Crystal Wilson, and said, what can we do? DPSCD is running adult education programs. Detroit at Work is running job training programs. But this might be a time, particularly if you're laid off and you always wanted to get that high school degree. This is a time you can do it. And so we put together funding where we're running a program that we call Earn to Learn. And you can start enrolling today. If you do not have a high school degree, you can go to the city website right now And this partnership between the City of Detroit and the Detroit Public Schools, you can get paid $10 an hour for 20 hours a week, as long as you're making progress toward your degree. So it should be $10, 20 hours as opposed to $20, but you got the idea. But a lot of folks can't afford to just explore their future without having money to pay the bills this week. And so at least this way, you've got $200 a week coming in while you learn. And Assistant Superintendent Wilson will talk about the role of the Detroit Public Schools in this. We're going to enroll our first 50 students starting July 13th. So you can go online today, get enrolled. We're going to take the first 50 right away. Another 100 are going to start right after Labor Day, and another 400 next year. So this is something we've never tried before. The idea of the schools and the city job training programs working this closely together. But the schools are actually going to place their adult ed teachers into the Detroit at Work training sites. And there's 4 of them, as you can see, on Myers, on Collingwood, on East 7 Mile, and on Shoemaker. This allowed the Detroit Public Schools to take buildings they needed for children, put children in those buildings, but also keep the adult ed teachers working, placing them in the place where the adults in this town are now learning Detroit at Work is your ticket to the future for more skills and better training. It was a great partnership. Not often that 2 bureaucracies can work this smoothly together, but I think what they have done has been outstanding. Now, if you are so close to your high school degree you need 4 or fewer classes, you actually don't even need to come into our centers. We have an online program where you could do that from home and finish up those last 4 classes. This is a great time to do that, and we're actually going to pay you to go online, finish those classes, and get that degree. And so you have the ability to do it right now. Go to our website, DetroitAtWork.com, look at the high school completion program, and you can get signed up. And it really is, it's amazing how many jobs are available now at Detroit at Work for those who have a high school degree. And with that, I want to turn it over to the Assistant Superintendent who helped make this possible, Crystal Wilson.
Thank you, Mayor Duggan. You know, as you indicated, this is another example of how the district and the city are working together to provide resources and tools for both the community and our families. So as Mayor Duggan indicated, there are 2 ways Detroiters can attain their high school completion. Number 1, they can receive their diploma, but you have to be an adult. This is not for our young people, and you have to be on scale or schedule to graduate before the year of 2016. So if you dropped out with only 3 or 4 classes to go, as the mayor indicated, you may qualify for the high school completion program. So basically, you'll finish up the classes that were required based on the year you would have graduated. So it doesn't matter if you went to school in 1994 or if you went to school in 1954. You'll take the test for the classes you missed and you'll get your high school diploma. Or if you dropped out in 9th grade or later, you can study to complete the GED, and this is where our teachers will assist you. When you test at the 7th grade level or above, and our teachers, they'll prepare you to take that GED test. So either way, you'll get paid to learn and be prepared to work. And I'll turn it back over to Mayor Duggan.
So thank you very much, Assistant Superintendent. Nicole Sherrard Freeman is now, every place I go, somebody stops me and tells me about Detroit at Work. I went to Detroit at Work. They helped me with my resume. They showed me where the jobs were. They showed me what I had to do to get them. I think the Detroit at Work centers in this city are now becoming a really important part of the community. The Fiat Chrysler plant that's being built over on Mack with 5,000 new jobs. It got set back 90 days with COVID. The construction stopped. They are now moving full speed ahead, and while it's been delayed, they are also moving full speed ahead in the hiring, both those of you who are already in the process, but also starting fresh the next round. So if you've been laid off from another job, and you were thinking it might not come back, and you didn't apply for Fiat Chrysler the first time, you got a chance to do it now. And so with that, I'll turn it over to the head of Detroit at Work, Nicole Sherrard Freeman.
Thank you for that, Mayor, and thank you, Assistant Superintendent Wilson, for your comments. Alicia Merriweather and Dr. Vitti and I put in a lot of work to this, and our teams have been fantastic, so it's a huge opportunity that we're excited about. As the Mayor said, there's more good news. So for those who applied the first time around for FCA, if you were one of the 3,500 Detroiters who has already passed the FCA application process, and you would know that because we were in touch with you and FCA was in touch with you before COVID, now is the time to watch your email because interviews are starting. So watch your email for a message, an email directly from FCA telling you how to schedule your interview. Interviews start July 13th. Outreach to those 3,522 Detroiters who already have priority has already started. And as a reminder, the jobs start somewhere between November of this year and January of 2021. So as the Mayor said, now's the time to think about going back to work. Unemployment support is going to run out at the end of July, and you need your next opportunity lined up. So again, of the 3,500 Detroiters who are already qualified to interview for those 5,000 FCA jobs, watch your email. The second point of good news is, so what if you didn't make it through the application last time? Or what if you said you were interested, but you didn't follow through? It wasn't the right time for you. It's not too late. There are already 12,500 Detroiters who have priority to apply to FCA now during the second week or second window. So watch your email for an application link. Applications open July 6th. So again, if you are already on the FCA list, watch your email. Impact Zone residents will be invited to apply first. That's 48213, 214, and 215. And then all Detroiters will have priority to apply starting July 20th. The interviews, if you apply now, start in the fall of this year. And again, jobs start sometime between November 2020 and January 2021. But the last question you'd probably be left with is, so what if you didn't get through the 3,500, you're not on that list of 3,500 to interview now, and what if you didn't go through an FCA readiness event before COVID? Is it too late? The answer is no. There is still time. You can go to detroitatwork.com/FCA, or if you don't have a laptop or if your connection through your phone is iffy, then call Detroit at Work at 1-313-962-WORK, and we will help you work through what you need to do to take advantage of the jobs that are coming to Detroit with FCA. I'll turn it back over to you, Mayor.
We are fortunate that no matter whether the economy is up or down, Jeeps are some of the hottest selling vehicles in the world. And as a reminder, when we made this agreement, we bought the land for FCA to build the new plant. We made one requirement. They have to interview our entire list of qualified Detroiters before they interview a single person outside the city. And so we are going to send them names of every qualified Detroiter possible, and this is a chance where you have an advantage because you live in the city. And FCA has been a terrific partner at this. In fact, we are so well coordinated that we now have a process in place that before you go back to work, you're going to go through the fairgrounds testing site, and we're going to provide the testing to make sure that all the FCA employees are COVID negative before they go back in. We are working hand in glove with FCA. They are valuing deeply the Detroit employment base, and so you live in this city, you are at the front of the line for good paying jobs with benefits, and so if you're insecure about the job you had before, you didn't apply for FCA before, go to the website or call the number and get in the line now, because FCA is hiring and expects to continue to hire. The last thing I want to talk about is tomorrow. Is the day that many people have waited for 48 years. Tomorrow, you have a chance to choose the car insurance that you want. You can opt out. Do not listen to any agent who tells you your renewal is not up till October or November, you can't act now. They are not telling you the truth. If your agent tells you you can't switch July 2nd, call a different company and call a different agent. It's happening all over the city. Happened to my mother, whose agent told her she couldn't change till November, and she promptly switched companies because in this state you are allowed to change your insurance any day that you want. And I will say this over and over. The new law does not lower your rates. Nobody ever said the new law was going to lower your rates. You want to say, the new law came, my rates didn't go down. Well, that's right, it didn't. The new law gives you choice. And if you like your current policy and your current rates, you can keep it. Nobody's taking it away from you. But if you don't want to be forced to buy the most expensive insurance in America, particularly when you already have good health insurance, for the first time in 48 years, you have a choice. And already I'm hearing from a number of folks on Medicare in the other 49 states in this country, when you're on Medicare, you don't have to buy health insurance a second time with your car insurance. Medicare covers you. Starting tomorrow in the state of Michigan, and people know if you call before, Medicare wouldn't cover you. Starting tomorrow in the state of Michigan, Medicare will cover you if you want. And you can choose to opt out by sending in your card to your insurance agent showing you're covered on both Part A and Part B. And in the last 5 or 6 weeks, I have gotten more handwritten letters and cards from people than I can ever remember. I feel like somehow we've gone back to the 1980s before there was email. And I just want to say I deeply appreciate the notes. The encouragement has been remarkable. I know I look tired. You don't have to write that to me anymore. But I got one yesterday that I have to read to you. And this is, I read every single one of these notes that comes in now. But nice purple stationery. But this lady wrote to me and said, "Dear Mayor Duggan, thank you for your efforts to get auto insurance premiums under control. Sir, I no longer at age 80 have to find work to supplement my Social Security. Thank you. My auto insurance company, Farm Bureau, was charging me $200 a month. But with the new law, my monthly rate just went down to $92 a month." She says, "I can live on my Social Security finally at 80 years old. Thank you so much." These are the kinds of cards and notes that I am getting. And people have been ripped off by this auto insurance system for a long time. Nobody has been ripped off worse than our senior citizens. If you feel good about your Medicare coverage, you have a choice not to pay a second time. You can decide what is right for you. But imagine people trying to get by on Social Security payments and having to spend $3,000, $4,000 a year in car insurance. So starting tomorrow, you can demand that your options are there. If you didn't watch my video, it's on the website. Just watch the first 30 minutes. If you watch the first 30 minutes, you can have a conversation with your agent. I can't tell you how many people I've heard from who said, "My agent tried to tell me what I couldn't do, but I quoted your video." They said, "Oh yeah, that's right," and they went along with it. You could save hundreds and in some cases thousands of dollars. If you haven't done it, watch the first 30 minutes of the video that explains your options, and then have an informed conversation with your agent. If you don't like what you hear, call another company. In fact, it isn't a bad idea to get options from 2 or 3 other companies and do what's right for you. And with that, we'll take any questions. Where can people find your video? DetroitMI.gov. So if you go to DetroitMI.gov and the picture of the mayor explains car insurance, the link is right on the front page unless they changed it in the last hour.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. Darcy Moran with the Detroit Free Press here. You were talking about the employees coming back to work starting Monday. Where does that put the city in terms of who's still not in, who is?
I would guess that 5,500 to 6,000 of our 8,000 employees are working, something in that range. We have a lot of people who can work from home, the IT department and some others. And if you can just as well work from home as in the office, doesn't matter whether you work for the city or anybody, you should do that.
Is there a timeline for getting the rest back in person?
So it is purely a function of can you work effectively from home. But we've had, I'm going to say 40 plus work sites that Dr. Dunn has literally walked the work site with the supervisors and the union reps. And we have a number of places where we've got, as you probably do at the Free Press, cubicles where people are sitting next to each other. We're putting up plastic dividers. We're leaving every other cubicle empty. We're literally going space by space with Dr. Dunn saying, if you do this, you'll be safer in work than the folks at home. And when we've made the workplace safer, we allow people to come back. But we had some people working from home even before COVID. They could do their jobs just as easily. Those folks, you might have people handle billings, for example. There's no reason they need to be in the office. And so we will keep coming back as it makes sense to come back, and it's really in the hands at this point of every department head, and it's the hands of Dr. Dunn signing off on the workplace being safe.
Point of clarification for you on a related note. You mentioned the city employee connected to the Harper's cases. That's a City of Detroit employee.
Yeah.
Can you tell us anything about
I don't
what's
want
going on there?
to. I don't want to break any confidentiality. I can just tell you that this week we had a city employee who was in a city office tested positive, and when we did the contact tracing, they had recently been at Harper's. And so I think I don't remember if it was your paper. One of the papers wrote about a party in Grosse Pointe that somebody from Harper's who had been at Harper's came to Grosse Pointe and spread it to the party in Grosse Pointe. This is really the problem. People in small groups are not going to cause this virus to spark back up. People in mass are certainly not going to cause it. We've seen it's been remarkable that in these protests, the diligence about wearing masks have prevented it from spiking. But it is people in groups who are being reckless without masks. They're the risk of causing Detroit to go the way of Florida and Texas, and that's what we're going to be vigilant about.
Got it. And just, I think, two more from me here. Is there a known lineup date, that the release date for the lineup for the Jazz Festival? It might be for someone else in the room.
Chris?
And thank you. And then just a last question for you, Mr. Mayor. There's been a lot of talk this week about the incident seen Sunday night with the police SUV and protesters. Is there any update on that investigation?
You know, I would direct you to Chief Craig. We don't have a final report yet, or I would have seen it, but we are collecting video from numerous sources and piecing the entire thing together. Anybody who has video, we'd encourage you to share it. But so far, what I have seen confirms what we saw originally.
And for the protesters that are disputing the accounts that have been given by police, though it sounds like you're in support of what we've heard from police.
Again, I think Chief Craig stated it clearly, but from what I saw, you had officers who weren't trying to arrest anybody, were in their car, were surrounded on three sides. They covered the windshield with the protest signs, climbed on the hood, and then somebody broke out the rear window. I look at that and think to myself, if somebody had thrown a Molotov cocktail in that rear window, those two officers would have burned to death. And so from what I have seen so far, there was a legitimate fear on the part of officers, but I would never reach a final conclusion until all the facts and all the video are in. Of course, the police department would do that, and potentially other agencies would do that. So I've seen this, everything I have seen has been consistent with what we saw the first day or two. We definitely could use a video of the actual shattering of the window. So there have been some protesters who claim to have a different account, and yet they have not. They all had their cameras out, yet not one of them has come forward and said, here's the video that corroborates our side of the story. If somebody has video of the actual shattering of the window, that would be helpful to us.
Thank you so much.
Okay. Anything else? Thank you all very much.